some of the things that I do to get in and get real quick and get these things done. So we're going to start with the live previews. You know, they can be difficult, whether you're investigating intrusion, internal anomalies, whatever they are. Sometimes to locate intruders, you first have to detect the intrusion. Most attacks leave some kind of trail, which is usually something that you can follow and get to. I use a lot of tools. One of my favorite tools that I've been using for a very long time, I even wrote part of the book, Log Parser Toolkit, is Log Parser, along with now PowerShell, a lot of Harlan Carvey's Perl scripts, including his Reg Ripper. So those are the different kinds of tools, as well as a lot of Microsoft command prompts. So those are the things that we're going to talk about tonight. And what we're trying to do is just trying to get the most amount of information in the least amount of time with the least amount of alteration to the system. Now, remember, we've been doing this for a while. This is like even prior to, and I do want to mention F-Response. You know, F-Response is out there now and makes it a lot easier. And, of course, ProDiscover, and, of course, if you want to spend the money on things like, you know, the Enterprise, Encase, and things like that. But, you know, these are quick ways to do things just with directly from the system or right from a thumb drive. What I usually do is I build a thumb drive, actually build a toolbox of tools. And that thumb drive itself is what I use to gather my information prior to deciding what needs to be done. And we're going to be giving some books away tonight. And, you know, one of the things, too, when deciding to what to do with the system was whether or not it's safe to pull the plug. Because on a lot of systems, when it's infiltrated, or when it's for law enforcement, which I assist law enforcement a lot, is they tend to want to pull the plug. And nowadays with encryption, sometimes that's a really bad idea. So the first things, these are the first 4 things that I usually do. And if you go to, I don't know if you've already extracted your tools into a toolbox and actually extracted them to a folder. But I've extracted them to a actual flash drive here on my system. I can find it. And I'll go back to it this way. So if you go down and look in here, and let me go ahead and share the actual screen. Give me a second here. A little technical difficulty. Can everyone see the screen that I just shared up? The X drive, yes or no?
Yeah, it flashed up for a bit. It's gone now, though.
Okay, we'll try that again. That's kind of strange. It was up and then it disappeared. Can you see it now?
Yep.
So when you go into an area to a system, you want to quickly extract information, and most of the information, as we know, and we're talking about Microsoft systems here, just so you know, we're not going to go into Linux or any of the other types of systems. So if you want to quickly get those things, what I've done is I've made a bunch of batch files that, if you look back here at the PowerPoint presentation, which are regexe to grab the HKLM, the HKCU, the HKCR, the HKU, the task list. And I'll show you some of the other commands that will grab a bunch of information here. You actually go to your Microsoft folder via command prompt. And you can actually run these batch files one at a time, and we can actually see the output that comes out from them. And I, of course, have to share that screen again. Hey, Mike, would it be easier if I just shared my whole screen? That way I didn't have to keep switching back to which,
yeah, I mean, that'll work. Just keep in mind that you've got your email and everything else open there.
There's nothing here that I care about, so if I just save the whole desktop, that's okay?
Yeah. That's fine with me.
Uh-oh. They didn't like something.
Whoa.
Did I lose you guys?
No, we're still here.
And you see my desktop?
Yep.
Good. Okay, great. That's a lot easier than switching back and forth over and over. So if we run these, as I was stating, if we run these different batch files, I don't know why, for some reason my Explorer does not seem to like, every time I go to share a screen, it closes all my Explorer screens. I have to open them back up. So if this takes a few extra minutes, I apologize, everyone. But if you to go into and run the reg export bat into your from a command prompt, you would see very clearly it will back up your entire HT local machine, HT current user, HT user folder from right where you're working. So this is a quick way, like if you were to go through a system, you wanted to get as much information out as possible, this is the first thing I do. I try to dump out the whole registry in a quick manner while the system's still on, or anything shut down, while it's running. Now, one of the things I'm not going to talk about, which I'm sure Alyssa, if she's still there listening, will probably say something about, is I'm not going to talk about dumping memory, only because just about every class we've had here, there's been a lot of talk about dumping memory, and everyone knows about doing a memory dump. So doing memory dump is something that I do, but I just was going to leave it out of this only because we've seen it so many times in the past couple of months here. So, you know, that dumps out all your reg keys right away. Then there's another command that a lot of people are or may not be familiar with, and that's netsh. And there's a lot of netsh commands. One of the netsh commands is diag. And the netsh diag command, I don't know for how many of you are familiar with ncase and the ncase preliminary report that it does, that it gives you all the software, all the hardware, the serial number of the operating system, et cetera, dumps it all out. Well, there's a command prompt tool, a command tool built right into Microsoft, and then netsh diag, which if you open up the batch file and actually look at it, you can see that's all I'm doing is telling it to run that command and dump it out into a text file. So if you run that batch file, it will take a few minutes. That's going to give you a report of, and you can scroll through it, of a ton of information that's very, very useful. I find very, very useful information, including connection information, internet connection information, like I said, the serial number of the operating system, all different kinds of information. And the report is very helpful. So that is one of the very next things that I do. I also like to do, let's see if that's finished yet. Not quite. I also like to do, right after that is a task list. Now, task list, that's the NSH tab. It's done and it opened up. You can see this report is pages and pages and pages long. But as you can see, it's scrolling. Everyone can see that, correct? Going across my screen? Mike, you can see that? Yeah, you can see that. You see that? Yep. It gives you a ton of information.
We can see that.
Of course, not going to sit here and read through everything with you. But as you can see, it tells you a lot about the system and dumps it out for you to have it handy. And these are all things that you can take away quickly to assess, read through, go through, and decide whether or not what the next step you're going to take with this system is. I also like to do, along with that, the task list. And the task list has several switches. So, of course, once again, I made a batch file for the task list. And as you can see, I run it the 3 different switches, the /v, the /m, and the /service. And then dump that out into a text file as well. So if you run that on your system, now, I want everyone to, and I don't know, can everyone see this clearly on my screen? All right, I can't see because I've got you guys blocked.
Yep.
I want the first person to tell me when they see a reason why this system should definitely not be shut down as I scroll through this. And that will be the first person to win whichever of the 5 books that they would like. So the first person that sees some process running here that would be an indication of not shutting this system down. I'm going to scroll through it as slowly as possible. If I go too fast, just tell me.
Corey's got his response.
What's Corey's response?
24 EV Mon.
And what's his reason why, just so I know what he says that. But don't.
He doesn't have a reason yet. He's just given it. We then have PGP.
So which service?
Service from John Thompson.
Here, let me look where he put it.
PGP.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Well, I don't know. I didn't look to see if the actual I got past PGP yet. But on top of PGP encryption service, the DCPP, some of you might not know that, that's a drive crypt. So this has not only got whole disk encryption, it's also got a PGP container and the entire hard drive's encrypted. So both he and Corey can both we can both mark them down, and if you get them to pop their email addresses over there, we'll send them a book afterwards, Mike. All right?
Yep. Okay. So guys, if you just
and
send
he just said something about what was that service called?
Message.
I saw that pop up, but I didn't see who asked for it. Oh my gosh! Look how many people put PGP up so fast. I didn't even. You know what's funny is I forgot PGP was running. I was hoping everyone was going to get the DCC or the DCCP service. I forgot I even had PGP running on here. But definitely right. Anytime you see an encryption service and it's good to know the different ones, is an instant reason to go, hey, we can't shut this server down. And what did I do with that text file? Let me get to it. So right here, if you see where I'm highlighting, that is the Drive Crypt service. That's the Drive Crypt Plus service right there. And then there's the PGP service right there. I didn't even realize that was running. I thought I had that off because it's actually not doing anything right now. But anyways, along with that, I'm going to keep scrolling through here. And as you can see, this not only tells you everything, when it gets to the next area, now it tells you every EXE along with its associated DLL off to the right. You'll see this now, LSAS, service hosts, and let's get down to where we get to DCCP and Drive Crypt again. And you'll see all the DLLs associated with that. They're all the DLLs associated with that program. So this is another good way to get a lot of information about processes running. like I said, it's still a great idea to do a DD dump, and you know, a memory dump, whichever way you want to do it. And here we go. This is what I was waiting. I thought we'd have to get to. There's actually a drive crypt exe, and that shows up right here, as you can see. So anything to do with encryption would be a reason. But running the task list with all three of those switches gives you all three of these different outputs, and then it gives you the PID association with each one and its friendly name off to the side. So, okay, so back to here. And then, of course, MS Info. Now, MS Info is 32 and 64-bit, and actually, if I remember correctly, it's even system. In other words, you have to use the same one for the same system. So on my thumb drive, I have MS Info 32 for Windows XP and 2003 and 64-bit, and then I have one for Windows 7 and 2008, 32 and 64-bit. You could run the one on the system if you don't want to run the one from your thumb drive, but it's always better to run the one from your thumb drive. So if we go back to, do I have it in here? Oh, there we go. Did you get everyone's email address on that?
Yeah, I've got John's.
That was a lot.
I've got Corey's.
That was a lot of quick responses with the PGP there. Oh, what am I doing? Typing in a text box. I need to be typing in a. Sorry about that. I should be typing in the console here. Another thing run, the MSN info report. If you do msinfo 32exe or 64.exe/report into a text file, that ran really quick. Something's not right.
Dangers of
yeah, that ran very fast and should have been. I'm on a 32-bit machine for sure. Oh, because look at what my MSInfo is called. It's not called MSInfo 32.exe. That's why. See, I told you I have a separate one for XP and a separate one for 2003 server. Each one seems to have its own, so I carry around one for each of them. That still didn't go. That should have been a lot longer than that. Okay. Yeah, it's opening. This report, into. That's what I probably did wrong, right? Let's see if that works. Nope. Okay, guys. I'll owe you this one. I have forgotten my command. At any rate, you can just run and open the thing. This will dump a report, believe it or not. All the information that's in MSInfo, which, by the way, you've already have between dumping all the other things we've already done. But this just gives you a bit of information running it from the thumb drive. Anyone there can tell me what I'm doing wrong? Is it not /report? See anyone there with any comments?
just found a knowledge base article and it says it's /report.
All right, let me. Someone just sent me a funny text message as while I was about my command. Okay, so by the way, everyone, just so you know, I had to switch on. I'm connected by my phone here because the Wi-Fi at the hospital has been dropping me all day long. So I'm connected via phone. Let me move on to the next thing then, before I take up too much time. NetStat, and I'm not going to go through we got NetStat and all these server info checks. The server info checks are really for when you're doing domain controllers. They give you a lot of information back from domain controllers. But the NetStat's a very important one that I've written a batch file for that will give you a really nice report of who, what, why is connected to your system. So if you, I call it netscan.bat. It's right there. If you see it on the screen, the one I'm pointing to. And if you drop it into your command box and run it, it runs all the different variations and then prints out this nice little report for you. Gives you your active routes, what you're connected to, who you're connected to, IP addresses, etc., etc. So just another, like I said, another quick way to get another quick report. We're not, like I said, we're not going to go over the server ones. Those are really for when you're on a domain controller or looking for things from there, doing server checks. But I just wanted them to be on there so you knew about them. There's a couple of nice features of OEM tools that you can download from Microsoft's website. Microsoft has a lot of OEM tools that they give to OEM manufacturers so they can test things with their systems. One of the things, and I don't know if anyone can tell me how to do this, and this will be for another book giveaway if we can, is can anyone tell me a command line command that you can use to unmount and mount a drive on a Windows system? Yeah. He got it. No, yeah, Holmes got it before I even... Roger Gartz got it before I even finished the sentence. I didn't even have the sentence finished and he already had it out there. So yeah, you can use the diskpart command. That's correct. So there's also list disk command where you can do things like list your disks and select different disks if you want, and show your partitions. Whoops. Wrong command box. But on all these things, you know, he said it right off the bat. But the one I wanted to show you from the OEM tools was the NFI, which gives you your list of your logical and physical sectors. I don't know if anyone's ever seen the OEM tool NFI, but if you go into the folder that you have under the OEM tools that you downloaded, there's one called NFI. Let's go to a command prompt there. Solve that command prompt. So if you go to the NFI, and if you go to, you wanted to look at that, you could just go and it will literally list your file by file table file with all the standard strings and all that. You can go to a particular one, like you could go to 2000 or wherever you wanted to go to look at the standard information, the file name, the object ID, and the data and all that information. It's a pretty neat little OEM tool. You can download all the OEM tools that they have on Microsoft's website. Just type in OEM tools for the particular OS version that you're looking for. Okay, Sysinternal tools, which now, of course, are Microsoft tools. Sysinternal tools has a lot of great tools that you can use to gather information from a system. If you're a user of Sysinternal tools, you probably know different things like the handle tool, the list DLLs, the sig check. And as usual, I like to write batch files that do everything at once. So I write a batch file that puts out all the information from the different information that I want and dumps it out into a text file. So if you were actually to go to your Sysinternal tools directory, one of these days I'll remember to keep my screen resolution small before I get on your thing here, Mike. And you can actually run the just run this batch file, and it will do the handles, the list DLLs, and the sig check for all the files. I have it just doing it for all the files in the Windows System 32 directory. And it'll dump out a report for you, which once again you can take, it dumps it right onto your drive where you're working. And takes a few minutes to do the sig check. But once that's complete, it's another thing that you can look at to decide whether or not, what to do, what could be wrong, what things you don't like, what things you see. While that sig check's running, I'm going to make another little command prompt here. While that sig check is running, the PS tools are pretty popular. You'll see them in a lot of different things for doing different things. You can do them on remote systems. That's what the Sysinternal PS tools are for. So I wrote a system check batch file that uses a bunch of the tools to let you do a bunch of things. And this is basically what the batch file does. It goes out and queries a bunch of information like the logged on, the services, the PS list, PS execs. It does reg query and net use of a remote system. Well, unfortunately, where I am, I've only got one system, and if you only got one system, that's fine. You can run it and put your own system's name and your own username and password in instead of the remote system's name and run it. Let's see if this sig check is done yet. It's still running, huh? Wow. There must be a lot of signatures to check. I'm just going to go ahead and terminate that. It was running the signature analysis of all the EXEs and DLLs in that file. But this is what you get from that original batch file that we were running that was doing the sig checks in the background. You get a lot of really good information, key information, what's connected to the system, device objects, all different kinds of config information. You get a wealth of information, and then of course it does a signature check against all the EXEs and all the DLLs, which if you're looking for something that's not supposed to be there, such as a Trojan or a virus or anything that might be imitating or taking over a file, it might be noted that it doesn't have a proper file signature on it. So, just another handy tool to gather information really quickly. When you think about it, we're taking time and stopping and talking here. All these batch files could be run inside of 15 minutes and you could be done and have all this information right in front of you and ready to go. Okay, so if we go to the PS tools now, and we were to run that, the batch file I made, I call it system check bat, and it just runs out to a remote system. But in this case, we'll just pretend it's our own system, and ask you just to enter the computer name without slashes. Well, my computer name just happens to be computer name, so it's pretty easy. And my username just happens to be username, so that makes it really easy for me too. And you can see it pops out all this information, and this would be on a remote computer. In this case, it's on my local computer here. Oh, look at that. It even identified that my Samsung phone is hooked to this. That's pretty neat. So anyways, like I said, it gives you all this information of what's running, what processes are running, what services are running. It does reg queries and all that of a remote system and sends it right back to you instantly. So this can come in really handy when you want to do a quick check. Now, if you think about that, if you had to do a bunch of systems, you could write yourself a little batch file and just fill in the username and the computer name, or if you had one admin name for a whole network, you could sit there and just run a batch file that spits out the different computer names and run this file through 100 computers, you know, in a very short period of time. So that can be quite handy. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything that anyone's asked me over here. Actually, Sysinternals bid it. Sysinternals, another product company, Microsoft bought and killed. Oh no, well, Sysinternals was the part of the tools that you actually bought, and the Sysinternals were always the free tools. But when what's his name? Wow, his name's eluding me. Went to work for Microsoft, the guy who made Sysinternals. He stopped making the Sysinternals part. Yeah, I believe, but yeah, right. He stopped making the Sysinternals part and just kept the free Sysinternals part when he moved over to Microsoft. So I don't even know if you can still even buy the Sysinternals. I have one from like 2004, is like the last version I have, but I don't even know if you can buy the Sysinternals anymore. Does anyone know? Okay. Nobody else seems to know. Just was asking.
No idea.
So we moving along. I'm trying to get along here. Moving along a little quickly. How much time have I eaten up so far on you there, Mike? I'm not keeping track. Okay, great.
Yeah,
well, here's what we call really.
You got time yet.
I couldn't think of any other thing to call this thing really. When I saw this, my words were really. The guy's name's Benjamin. I don't know his last name. I've had 50 conversations with him via email, and I've never asked him his last name. He's never told me his last name, but he's the guy that figured this out. And it's been reported to Microsoft, and I guess Microsoft doesn't care. So, as we say, let me exit out of here. Let's go to your, on your flash drive directory, you got a mimikatz directory. And I don't know if you're on a 64-bit machine or a 32-bit machine, but that's your where you want to be. So, this program right here, if you were, doesn't matter if you're on a domain controller, regular machine, will give you the username and password, the password in plain text of every thing that is logged on to the machine that you're logged on to. So how you run this, and this will come up as a virus if you've got, oh, I see Craig Ball going there. If you've got, it doesn't matter what you have loaded. It doesn't matter if you're on a domain controller. It'll give you 100 passwords if people are logged in. So we're going to go ahead and run this. And you get this bash sign. And I'm going to go through this slowly. because a lot of it comes back in, I think it's French. And what it basically does is it busts through the digest authentication, and it raises you to the debug privileges, and then it injects the process, that DLL you see there, into the LSAS. And then it just gives you all the logon passwords to anyone that's logged on in plain text. Now everyone says, oh, well, it's cracking them. And I'm like, well, you know, I've got a 60-character password with Unicode characters, and it gave me to it in 2 seconds. How is it cracking the password? That's impossible. It's not cracking the password. The password is somewhere in plain text that Microsoft is just not telling us. So, in the directory there's a little thing, the how-to, and it makes it much easier if you just use that. And it's a real simple 3-step process. You go to your command prompt. You simply type in privilege : debug. And it says, yep, you got debug privileges. Oh, by the way, this will only work if you're logged in as command. And I pre-told everyone we're doing this on Windows XP in 2003. You can do it on Windows 7, but you have to be logged in as the administrator to do it on Windows 7. So you do that, debugged it, no problem. Then next thing you do is inject the process, which is inject : process the lsas.exe and that DLL. And I see Alyssa saying something, but I can't read what she's saying, but I'll see it in a second. Okay.
It's no need to worry about it.
It's not showing?
She's just asking you to show your command window.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. So
no,
the first thing you did, the first thing is, after you type mimikatz exe, it's privilege : debug. Then it comes back, and it comes back to your bash, and you go inject : process lsas and that DLL. Then it takes a couple of seconds, and then it comes back to another bash here, and then all you do is, whoops, let me get the, so I don't mistype anything. I'll do it this way. @get login passwords, and there they are. And that didn't even take a second. And when you see how long my password is, right there, that's a really long password. It's about 60 characters that I typed out there, just made special just for this little hoo-ha. So somewhere, this crazy super long password right here that can't be cracked is cracked, along with this other one without Unicode characters that I made right here. But both of those are incredibly long and cracked in less than a second. Everyone else get the same results? Did anyone not get the same results? Scott lagged into the bank with that. Yeah, that's my bank password, dude. How'd you guess? Yeah, if only my bank would let me have a 64-character password. My bank limits it to like 11 characters, no spaces. I'm like, really? Yeah, Bill just said, okay, this gets holy shit, hence the reason, if you go back to the slide, I used the Gleaming the Cube. I don't know if you guys remember that movie, Gleaming the Cube, but it has a lot of different movies. Google the word Gleaming the Cube and see what all the different meanings of it is. That's all I could think of when I thought this is like Gleaming the Cube. Are you kidding me? If you're on a domain controller, that's going to show you every single user password that's logged in. There's 100 users logged in, you're going to instantly see 100 users' passwords. If that doesn't get as Bill said, holy shit, I don't know what does. All right. Well, on to I hate to say it, but that's the coolest of all the things that I'm going to show you. So don't everyone leave. But I got some other cool things too. But that is the big one there. I got you this. You know, I'm a Microsoft MVP, which is just a thing you get when you volunteer a lot and do a lot of volunteer stuff, which I do. In the Microsoft community. I volunteer my time to I don't know if you guys know, I'm a paralyzed veteran. I volunteer a lot of time to the Navy NCIS and stuff and do free forensics for them and help out soldiers when they get in trouble. I even do defense work for free for the Navy, you know, for that kind of stuff. So, so I've been a Microsoft MVP for about 5 years, and I've brought this up. Been going on for 6 months now, and I've not got any kind of resolve, and I'm just amazed that this is there. And I'm telling you, the way I learned about this from Benjamin, and Benjamin has it, is you can go to his site, and if you turn scripting on, he'll tell you your password from his website. So do not turn scripting on your. I hope you use Firefox or Chrome and leave scripting off on any websites you visit that you absolutely do not trust, because Benjamin has a site set up that he can tell you your password if you turn scripting on his site. Yeah, no matter what the encryption, NTLM version 2, mine's did you see how long my password was? And I had Unicode characters. It doesn't matter, Derek. Does not merit, Derek. Is NTLM v2. I have my security. I'll show you my local security policy if you want to see it. Hold on. Let me just pull it up real fast if everyone doesn't mind waiting for a second. Oh, no problem. We'll give them away. No, we'll give them away.
3 books to give away.
If you look at my local security policy, I have NTLM refuse LM and NTLM. I have require secure channel always. Everything. I have the highest security you can have on everything. Everything. I mean, I have full auditing on, as you can see. I mean, I don't have that. I mean, everything. Every audit, a policy rights taken away from every user on my system. So yes, it does not matter what, it pops up instantly, and it's not cracking it. There's no way it could crack that password you saw that fast. That's impossible. I mean anyone will tell you that. I mean, even with hash tables, a 14-character password, with whatchamacallit tables, rainbow tables, still takes a half an hour or 30 minutes or 20 minutes. But my characters were 64 characters long and had Unicode characters in it. They don't even have Unicode characters in those. So it's not a crack. It's coming right out of the memory. If that's the guy it is from the website, then he can program run remotely. I'm not sure what Corey means, but runs it from a website, then he can run the program remotely. Well, if you have scripting on, and you go to his website, yes, he can grab it off your system. Well, I think he somehow if you turn scripting on, he does something to hijack your machine and then grabs it. I don't know how that works. I don't do it. I've never went on and tested it, Corey.
Well, it's interesting. Actually, I've just gone to his website now with scripting disabled.
If you want, later on, if you guys remind me, I'll send you the... Hold on. Do I have my email open? I don't even need to. Hold on, I don't even need to... Okay, I don't need my password or anything to get to it. Don't read my email, everyone, okay? Uh-oh.
That's all right. The power...
Okay, let me go to...
the top of it at the moment.
Come on, why is it not? Come on. Of course, it's locking up on me because I didn't log in to my Exchange server. I just wanted to scroll to the one folder and grab the URLs. You know what? If someone sends me a reminder email, yeah.
Yeah, I'll trace it up with you.
Okay.
Dave, and when I post the recording,
okay,
I'll post the link as well.
Next. What is next? I don't remember. Oh, back. Books. Okay, here we go. Here's who's two books giveaway. Who can tell me what wiping tool that is on a fat drive? Come on. Okay, we got eraser, boot, and nuke. Okay. All right, wait. All right, now I'm going to show you the next one. What wiping tool is this? The second one now. This is the second one. The second one we go so far, we've got, come on, anyone? Windows washer, crypt. Come on, somebody. Guess it doesn't matter. He says guessing. Great. Guess as many times as you want. All right, here we go. I'm going to give you the answers. And I don't think anyone got any of them, believe it or not. Although someone did use the right answer. It was just for the wrong window, so maybe we'll just do the book that way. Whoa. Diane. All right, she got BC Wipe. Never mind. Hold on. Okay. The first one was BC Wipe. Anytime you see a bunch of empty zero files with the date 30 April 1986 on a fat drive, like that, it's BC Wipe. When it says 01 January 1980, it's eraser. So Diane gets a book, and who said eraser verse? I don't know who that dude is. We got to get that dude and Diane's email addresses.
Okay, that dude, if you want to start a private chat with me and pass over your email address, Diane, I already have your email address. If you just want to let me know.
Well, did the first two people,
sure
did everyone pick already, or you can handle it however you want. I'll send you all 5, and you can, tell. Actually, you know what? I can send multiple copies, so if everyone wants the same book, it doesn't matter. I can digitally sign as many copies as I want, as long as they know they can't share it. Once I sign it to them, that's their book. It'll have their name on it and my digital signature. They can't share it with anyone else, is all. Yeah, that would be bad on the good-bad scale. All right, so that was the next book thing. So now we're actually on the log parser, the thing we started talking about. So I'm going to go over this part real quick. And you can see this is why I made it smaller, but even this ran off a little on this one. Security event logs, there's different kind of event logging. There's,
we just have a question.
The difference of...
Can you please give the difference again?
That difference? On fat drives, this is only on fat 32. If it's on NTFS, it's a totally different thing. But if you find like an external fat drive, which most external drives tend to be fat, and you see a bunch of empty files, and they all have the look like this, with that date, the 30 April 1986, and they have that similar format, underscore, hexadecimal, that will be BC Wipe. This is what you'll see on eraser. You'll see these, and they'll have the 01/01/1980 date. Show the files again. Is that what he's asking? That right there? Yeah. Guys, if you want, I've got like 30 different types of wiping tools and artifacts and what they leave behind. Mostly on external drives, because when you run it on an internal drive, you usually can. What in the heck? You usually can find some artifacts on there that tells you that the program's been run. So most of the tests I was doing was on external drives when the program that was run obviously wasn't on that external drive. So, anyways, that's on FAT. So, are we ready to move on? Oh, I've tested that on all the way up to
Yeah, I think
version of
so.
Eraser like 5 point something, and I don't remember what the last version I tested was. And I have Eraser going all the way back to like 3 or 2.0 or something. It always gave that date. And BC Wipe, I'd have to look what version I'm up to, but I've owned BC Wipe. You know, Eraser's free. I've owned BC Wipe for at least 4 or 5 years, if not more. You should put the wiping artifacts on the forensic wiki. Yes, I should. And I should also write a blog, but for some reason I'm not a blogger either. Does someone want to be my blogger? I have a lot to say. I just can't put it down on paper. If someone wants to listen to me talk and type it, I'll gladly blog. Okay, so Microsoft Security Events, blah, 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 blah. You got the directory services, logon events, object access, policy changes, privilege use. You can turn everything on a server, except you don't want to have the or is it process tracking or privilege use? You know, I just had that open and I forgot to show you. The one thing that'll fill up your event log really fast, so it really depends on how much you yeah, your privilege use. If you have success or privilege use, well, every successful thing you do will be audited. You got to decide whether or not you need that or not. So I keep those full on all the servers. All my client servers have that, and then I put in, which I believe is the very next slide. Oh no, this is about looking for unusual account management events. What would you look for? These are some of the event IDs. They're different now on 2007. All the ones on 2008 and Windows 7, they're all 4-digit event logs now. So it's like, you know, 5024 or something like that. I don't have them memorized. Sorry. I think I have. Here we go. So this is what I do for clients so that their log files don't fill up. I set it to either 64 or 32. You see that 06444? That's 100 megabytes or 50 megabytes. And then every time it gets to 50 megabytes, it creates an archive with this long name down here that says whatever the archive name, security, year, month, date, hour, minute, second. .mm, you know, all the way event. And it'll just keep archiving and archiving and archiving. And what I tell them to do is about, you know, it depends on how busy their server is, either once a week, once a month, or once a quarter, to have either an auto batch set up to go in there and zip up all those files, because like 5 gigs of those archive files will zip down to like 50 megs. They zip to an incredible size. So otherwise you'll fill up your drive fast with a bunch of archive logs. But then they have logs forever, and they don't have to worry about losing any logs. It works for any of the logs file, application, system, security. It doesn't make a difference. Is there any questions there? Sloan, object access is okay. I don't know, Jay Sloan, as long as you don't turn on this. See, this is a setting that people don't realize. There's another thing called global object access. That's the one that will fill up your server about 500,000 lines a second. And that's in the global policy in your, I'm not on a domain controller, so you know, in there it would be somewhere else. But it's right here. Where's it at? Of course, I'm not going to find it because I'm looking for it, right? Right there. Audit access of global system objects. If you turn that on and you turn on global auditing object access, that's when you'll. Does everyone see that, by the way? What I'm showing you in my security settings? Okay. Yeah. So if you turn that on and you have global, that's when you'll fill up amazingly fast. And I see we're almost at 9 o'clock here, so I'm really running way behind, aren't I? So that's that. So what does Log Parser do? How's it work? It's an SQL-like engine. You can use any kind of SQL kind of query language, select, where, group, having, order by, all that kind of stuff. What can it do? Just about anything. It does way more than log files. Input formats, you have all these different input formats that you see here. Active Directory objects, file, netmon, you can do NCSA logs, centralized binary logs from firewalls. If there's any questions going on that I need to address, someone just yell out to me, please. Output formats, you have all these different output formats, including out to a syslog server or an SQL database. Yeah, Dan, is that you're agreeing with me or disagreeing with me?
Don't worry about it, mate.
Dan, just FYI, I'm testing. You're saying that I'm right or wrong? Just so I know. Okay. So anyways, so the breakdown, have you used log parser lizard? Yes. I was more curious to what Dan, FYI, I'm testing the use of Eraser 5.7 in VC White. But yes, I like log parser lizard, but I've been log parsing for so long that it's just easy for me to just log parser. Oh, okay. Okay, Dan, I just wanted to make sure that's all I was asking. Thank you, Dan. So anyway, so the excessive number of log down scripts here, you have all these different areas you can go to. So this is like the breakdown of a log parser script. Now you can just throw log parser in the command line, but I like to make little SQL scripts and save them and make a toolbox full of scripts, kind of like Harlan Carvey does with his Red Ripper. He makes a toolbox full of tools and plugins, as they're called, for his. So I actually, in there, you'll see a thing that's called toolbox.exe that you can actually add different lines in and run multiple SQL scripts at the same time. So you select first and do different things. So there's different things inside the log files, the EDT log files, that you need to know about. They have what's called in them the strings and the tokens. The strings and the tokens are where the addresses, the username, and the workstations are. But unfortunately, Microsoft put those in very different locations, and I'm going to show you this here right now, with different, log parser. Where did I put it? Oh, sorry. Got to open something up. Excuse me 1 second. I saved it under an example thing when I was creating this earlier today, so I could show you all the difference between here. Oh.
Keep in mind you've got your email open in front of everyone there.
Thank you. Thank you, though. Nothing exciting in my email, in case anyone wanted to know. Oh, great. Nope. Public speaking, DFR online today, examples. Okay, so for instance, the difference between 673, an event ID 673, and the strings being, can you see this where I'm highlighting right now? Source address, caller name, user ID, everyone? Can everyone see that, Mike? Okay. You see that string 6 is the source address here?
Yep, all good.
String 0 is the username, string 1 is the caller domain. But in event ID 672, you now have the source address is now string 9. So you have to know these things, otherwise when you run different things and you try to grab different event IDs and you leave that source address at 9 and all of a sudden you're not getting the IP addresses and you're searching for a certain IP address and you're going, gee, why am I not getting any of this IP address? I know there's IP addresses of these that have logged onto the server. That could be the right reason why, because you're searching for in the wrong string. So It's important to know that the strings are different, so I'm going to show you how to get that string information here in a minute. Okay. So, and then, like we were just talking about altering it, you can have it search for certain event IDs, only a single event ID, where source address is null, where source address is between a certain range, where source address is not between a certain range, outside of a range. So like if you wanted to search for everything that was not inside your internal network, so any external IP addresses, you could do that as well. And there's more written down below this, but it's not showing it, but it's just more of that same kind of information of the different things that you could, that you can alter. I just showed you that, what we were just talking about, 673, how the source address is 6, but on 672, the source address is 9. And I just showed you that inside an actual script. So, okay. So finding alterations, and then, so what we're going to all do right now, and I don't know if any of you did what Mike had asked you to earlier in the week, and logged in a couple of times on purpose with the wrong username, and then actually used your password and put it in your username field. But there is a event log out there. Oops. And it is an event SQL. So what we'll want to do is we'll want to open a command prompt at the log parser directory. So I'm going to have to minimize because mine all come out gigantic. And in the log parser directory, how we run these is you type in log parser. And then you, whatever the file name is going to be, in this one I called sec event all SQL. And to make it go quick on mine, I just said select the top 5,000. So we run that by typing in file, then a colon, and then the name of the SQL. And that will run whatever inside that script of log parser. So this is going to give us the record number, the time generated, time written, event ID. And it's going to put all that out into a CSV file. The into clause is right here. And then from the security, that's your security event log. Now, if you had a group of event logs, you could put C:\\\. If it was on another server, you could put \\\, server name, \, wherever it was. And if you had a string of event logs, let's say 20 of them in a folder, you could just do *.edt if you wanted to. Or you can do it from the live security event log of the system that you're running, however you want to do it. So we run that, let it go for a minute. And they're usually pretty, log parser is usually pretty quick. I've run log parser against 7 million, or 70 million log events before. It's only taken minutes. You can see just right now it parsed through 143,000 in 13 seconds. So, and then the CSV file, I had it call it the same name. Can everyone see the CSV, the Excel open up here? Now this is what I wanted to show you that's important to know and something that you can learn and information that you can gather from here. The record number. The record number in the event logs are kept. And you see I have it kept it's in reverse order. I have it sorted in descending. If someone changes the time on the clock, and you suddenly have dates in here that are before 9/20 with these record numbers, and then all of a sudden it goes to 9/10 or last year and then jumps back to this year, and the record numbers are still in order, someone altered the clock on that machine. Because those record numbers are going to be sequentially in order as things are written to the event log. So it's important to grab those record numbers and compare them to the time. The other thing I wanted to show you were the strings. This is where all those strings are that we get. Let me see if I can get them way over here. You know what? I don't need any of the things. There we go. Can everyone see the strings across here that I'm showing right now? Okay, so that's where you get the strings. So these are in order. So if I was looking for, an IP address or the computer name or a certain thing, I don't even remember if I grabbed this from the security event log or the system event log. Now that I'm looking at this, I think I grabbed it from the system event log. But at any rate, those strings are those different string numbers that we were just talking about. So if you wanted to know what string number the IP was in event ID 673, you would just look here, and if it was the 6th string over, you knew it was string 6. That's how you look through and find the different strings and where they are, and how you learn the event log and how to pull the information out of it. So am I boring anyone to death yet?
I don't think so, though.
I'm gonna just jump right ahead then to
late.
2 quick things.
We might.
And that is the USB store. I just wanted to show this. There was a big conversation on Win Forensics the other day about device classes and where you could find when something had been inserted and removed. And these 2 device class numbers right here which are device classes 307 and 30D. If you run both those device classes while a system is plugged in, it will show you a key, a control key, and show you that that was the last time it was inserted. And if you remove it, it'll stay there until the computer's rebooted. So in long as the computer's not rebooted and you look in both these items, I could run them right now and show you, you can find out the last time it's been inserted as long as you don't reboot the system. So Alyssa's yay shell bags. Does that mean you want me to show that, Alyssa?
Actually, and also,
so
we still have
let me just real fast.
Away.
I have log parser open here somewhere, don't I? Yeah. Let me run. Let me just show you this real fast. Where are they? See how fast that was, right? 0.05 seconds. And shell bags. I don't know which shell bag she wants me to run, but I'll run one of them. Where is it? I know it's here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so if we just look real quick at those CSV files that were just created, and then there's only just one more quick thing I'll show you, and then I'll let you pick how we give the last book away. Okay, so these that just came out, that 307D CSV file, which is going to be huge. And I know last write time, sorted by, which is right now, 19020. See these control keys right here that I highlighted right there for this Corsair that I have plugged in right now? Those control, that's the last insert time, that control right there. But if I unplug it, that control key will stay there until I reboot the computer, and then it disappears. It gets erased. So that's just one thing. And you can see how it gives you all the USB store information. And this is where you get the last use time, not last inserted. That control key is the last removed. The last inserted stays, the last removed. If I remove the key, that control key will stay there. And it'll update, and it'll stay there until the system is rebooted. So that's just some good information to know. And the shell bags, no roams, is not nearly as pretty as what you can get out of some things, but you can get a lot of information out of here, which is a lot of information. And, you know, it has all the information in it. There's both shell bags, no roams, and you can see, you can run through it and search for information, you know, once you got it in the CSV file. I haven't had a pretty output and figured a way to do it yet in a pretty output that makes it nice and neat, but eventually I will. I just haven't had a lot of time to play with the shell bags yet. Okay, and I just want to show you one last one here, and then I'll call it, Mike, even though I ran over on you, buddy, and over on the list. I had some other things too, HKLM and mounted devices and log parser, USB mounted devices remotely and all that, identifying server state changes, installed other components. This is the one I want to show you. This is one that I actually have in a command text, and this does every MRU and pulls it all into a CSV file for you. Every most recently used list from across the entire registry. And if you look in the log parser directory, there's a thing called log parser command text, I think it's called, or it might just be command text. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. And I'm just going to run it. You can put it into a script. I'm just going to run it as a CSV and dump it into here and hit enter and let it run, and it'll output a CSV. I was going to show you a pretty three-part, and I did make one part of it while we were waiting. So I will show it to you, but the other parts we can't switch to. Oops. There we go, I did. Okay, so that's done. Here's the MRU list, and you can see it yanked quite a bit of URA information. Of course, you got to stretch it out as a CSV and then save it as an Excel. But it pulls out the MRU lists from everywhere across the whole entire system. Gives you a great amount of MRU information. And the other thing is at the end of the thing, and I'll have I don't know if you'll put the slide up for everyone to see. It'll show them how to do this. But one thing you can do is you can make something that runs like every hour and checks all three of your log files, and it opens up into a log like this, and it shows you can have it show the last 100 rows, the last 5,000 rows, and you can click between the system, the application, and your security log, and then you can just check what's going on your system the whole time. So you can actually switch back and forth and say, okay, here's my last events that have happened here, here's my last events that have happened in the application. And you can have it manually run, you know, via batch job or however you want to do it, and have it pump out to a nice, pretty HTML up onto an internal web page, so you don't have to constantly be looking at CSV files. That was the last thing I wanted to show you. It's in there. If anyone wants to know how to do it, just call me. Maybe next time I'll make a second class and cut it in half and just do all log parser and not any of the other stuff.